This is Al Jazeera.
Hello and welcome, I'm Peter Dobby. You're watching the News Hour live from our headquarters here in Doha. Coming up in the next 60 minutes. Escaping killing, looting and rape, fighting in Central African Republic forces tens of thousands to flee to neighbouring countries. We'll have an exclusive report from one remote Congolese region.
They're exposed to mosquitoes, malaria, and everybody here says that there's hardly any food to eat or clean water to drink.
Mass testing and quarantine centres in Hong Kong and China as infections soar. Beijing is urging people to scale back on travel ahead of the Lunar New Year holiday. The US says its commitment to Taiwan is rock solid, warning Beijing after multiple Chinese jets and bombers fly into the island's air defense zone. Also ahead, the sound of music, the festival in Chile that won't be silenced by the coronavirus pandemic.
And the biggest star in mixed martial arts, Conor McGregor, suffers a shock defeat at UFC 257. American fighter Dustin Poirier stuns the Irishman with a technical knockout in the second round, picking up the biggest win of his career.
A disputed election, a rebel alliance close to the capital, and local and world powers in proxy wars. The conflict in the Central African Republic is now drawing in its neighbours as tens of thousands seek refuge from the violence. The UN Refugee Agency is warning the needs of the recently displaced are mounting, and it faces a substantial funding shortfall. Many of the refugees, an estimated 74,000 of them so far, have been forced to find shelter in remote border regions of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Al Jazeera's Malcolm Webb got exclusive access to one such village where refugees say there's hardly any food to eat or clean water to drink.
Killing, looting and rape by fighters from armed groups in the Central African Republic has sent tens of thousands of villagers on the run. Many of them have crossed this river, the Ubongi, in dugout canoes. On the other side is relative safety in remote villages in the Democratic Republic of Congo, only accessible by boat. We went to look for them with the UN Refugee Agency. And we found them, in their thousands, sheltering in villages along the riverbank. Our arrival drew a crowd. People here say they've been waiting for help since they arrived here last week. They lined up, hoping we'd brought it. And more keep coming. Others go back to retrieve possessions from their homes or crops from their farms. That's what Elizabeth Poma tried, but she came back with nothing.
The rebels attacked our village last week. We heard a lot of gunfire. They destroyed everything. They raped girls and they kidnapped some of them. We didn't see exactly what happened because we had to run.
Violence escalated since elections last month, which political opposition says were rigged. The armed groups say the government must go. They occupy about 2/3 of the country, including most of its gold and diamond mines. The armed groups now control the villages that we can see just over there on the other side of the river. People who live on this side say they can hear gunfire when they're fighting. This is one of the homes of one of the usual residents of the village of Sombulola. It's basic, but the village has been completely overrun. Its population swollen by about 20 times. Of the new arrivals, those lucky enough to have a mosquito net are sleeping under it out in the open. But many others have just built basic structures made of branches and leaves. They're exposed to mosquitoes, malaria, and everybody here says that there's hardly any food to eat or clean water to drink. People told us they're eating whatever edible plants they can find in the bush. The local office of the UN Refugee Agency says it doesn't have funds for the new arrivals.
We are supposed to treat them with dignity, and so let that dignity show with our actions. And I'm calling upon the whole world, all countries, we want to see their promises backed by their action.
It's not safe to go home, but without help they can't relocate and settle here in Congo. They're wondering how long they'll be stuck here. After a few hours, we had to leave. People here desperately hope somebody will soon come back and help. Malcolm Webb, Al Jazeera, Songulola, Democratic Republic of Congo.
Well, the number of people from Central African Republic seeking safety in neighbouring countries has soared since December's disputed election. Already, 100,000 people are displaced within their own country, but more than 84,000 people have been forced to seek shelter elsewhere, and that number is expected to rise. Almost 5,000 people travelled to Cameroon, and an equal number have gone on to Chad. 400 people travelled to the Republic of Congo. But the vast majority, that's the 74,000 we're talking about, have crossed to the Democratic Republic of Congo, where they're facing an uncertain future. Let's talk now to Liz Ahour. She's the country representative of UNHCR in the Democratic Republic of Congo. She joins us live on Skype from Kinshasa. Liz Ahour, what sort of state are the people in who are arriving there?
Thank you very much for having me. There's the situation in the DRC of the refugees that have arrived. As you rightly said, there are more than close to 90,000 now estimated by the authorities. We can classify as quite desperate because, one, the physical location in which these refugees have arrived is very vast. They are in 3 provinces, and they are basically very, very difficult to reach. Secondly, they've come emotionally depleted. Some of them, this is not the first time they're crossing into the DRC. Those who even left last year have found themselves again being displaced. So emotionally, in a very, very hard position. Also, in terms of their pecuniary needs, food, water, sanitation, sleeping under the sun, sleeping under the moon, because we're still relocating assistance from Kinshasa and from Badolite to these locations where they find themselves in 3 provinces. And the host community that normally would assist them, who are the first responders, are themselves in a very precarious situation, and they're overwhelmed, as it were.
How close, pardon me for interrupting you, Liz Ahour, how close is your own organisation or other organisations to being able to begin to look after these people?
We have deployed, UNHCR has already deployed a team to Ndu, where we are also moving non-food items. So by next week, they should start receiving at least, not yet food, but they will be receiving what we call non-food items, that is mats on which they can lie, tents to shield them from the elements, and we will be in a position to register and confirm that, yes, these are refugees that are on in the territory. Tuesday, a second team is going to a different location, since they're in 3 different provinces. So we have UNICEF that has already rehabilitated 2 wells. We have the NGOs that have been working with us. We have Acted that is already in place. We have ActionAid and other NGOs that are working with us in the different provinces. So assistance is on the way, but as I said earlier, very difficult to reach areas because all assistance has to be air freighted. There are no roads.
How do these people survive between where they are today, which is a precarious situation to be in anyway, and the point where they've got something to sleep on, shelter, and the basics of a diet, foodstuff coming in?
Usually, as I said, the host community is the first responders, because given the vastness of the territory and given the celerity with which the people arrived, we didn't have anything already pre-positioned there. But as I said, we are counting in the next 1 week at the maximum. So they will have, unfortunately, on what they can get from the river, since we have that they live by fishing, most of them, and what the host community is able to share with them.
Okay, we have to leave it there. Liz Ahoa in Kinshasa, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mass testing's underway in Hong Kong for thousands of people in neighbourhoods sealed off because of a coronavirus outbreak. People in 150 residential blocks are forbidden from leaving until the testing is complete. Now, the area accounts for half of all new coronavirus cases in Hong Kong over the past week. The city's struggling to contain an upsurge in infections over recent days and